Krusty was a bitter 59-year-old woman with a face like old leather left out in the sun too long. Her real name was Carol, but everyone who'd ever crossed her path eventually called her Krusty behind her back, and sometimes to her face. For 5 long years, she had sunk her claws into Jarl Wiggin, a decent man who finally woke up one morning and realized he was wasting his life on a walking storm cloud. When Jarl left her for a 39-year-old woman who actually smiled and didn't treat every conversation like a battlefield, Krusty lost what little mind she had left. The rejection burned hotter than any hot flash she'd ever had in her life. So she decided that if she couldn't have Jarl, no one would have peace, especially not him. Every single day she harassed him. She called his phone at all hours, left venomous voicemails, and flooded his inbox with accusations. When that wasn't enough, she started calling the cops on him for made-up reasons. He's threatening me. He's stalking me. She even phoned Child Protective Services once, claiming Jarl was neglecting imaginary children he didn't have. Anything to destroy the life he was trying to rebuild without her. When the police started ignoring her obvious lies, Krusty got creative. She found a man named Tom Flash, an odd theatrical fellow who wore a black top hat everywhere and made his living as a children's party clown. She latched onto Tom like a tick, parading him around online and in public, hoping Jarl would see it and burn with jealousy. "Look at me, I've moved on to a better man," she posted everywhere. It backfired spectacularly. Tom Flash was strange, but he wasn't stupid. After a few weeks, he saw exactly what Krusty was, a vindictive, swatting, doxing machine who used people as weapons. One evening, he sat her down, tipped his ridiculous black top hat, and said, "Madam, you are a walking red flag factory. I'm out." Then he blocked her and walked away, leaving her fuming. Krusty's last scrap of dignity died that day. Tom had been her final desperate attempt at proving she was still desirable. Now, both Jarl and Tom were free of her, and the truth about her behavior was spreading. She had been exposed online as a serial swatter, a doxer, and an all-around bitter harpy. Dating apps went silent, old acquaintances stopped replying, even her own distant relatives started muting her messages. Furious, she dragged both men to court, filing frivolous lawsuits and peace orders, screaming that they were the real villains. When Tom Flash's turn came, he showed up in his black top hat, calm and theatrical. He presented screenshots, call logs, and timestamps that painted a clear picture of Krusty's years-long campaign of harassment. He even brought printed copies of her own unhinged posts. Krusty broke down in the courtroom. She wailed to the judge, tears streaming down her wrinkled face. "Your Honor, he's lying. They're all against me. This was my last chance at love." The judge, unimpressed by the theatrics, ruled in Tom's favor and warned Krusty about wasting the court's time. She learned nothing. Within days, she was back at it, slandering both men online, calling the cops with fresh fake complaints, and seething at her keyboard. But this time, the tables had turned. Jarl and Tom had quietly gathered evidence of their own. Friends who had once tolerated her now compared notes. The police department finally connected the dots on her repeated false reports. A detective started building a real case, filing false police reports, harassment, stalking, and doxing. Krusty remained blissfully unaware. Every night, she hunched over her computer in her dimly lit apartment, surrounded by empty cookie packages and crumbs on her robot. She refreshed profiles, stalked social media, and muttered curses at the screen while yelling like a raving lunatic. "Think you're happy, huh? I'll fix that. I'll call them again tomorrow. They'll pay." She cackled and cried in the same breath, crumbs falling onto her keyboard as she typed fresh poison into the void. No new victims had appeared yet, so she kept circling back to Jarl and Tom like a moth to a flame that had already burned her wings off. What she didn't know, what she refused to see, was that a pair of officers were already reviewing warrants with her name on them. In the very near future, there would be a knock at her door she wasn't expecting. The bitter old woman who had spent years trying to ruin other people's lives was about to watch her own crumble in real time. But for now, Krusty just shoved another cookie in her mouth, glared at the glowing screen, and screamed into the night, "They'll never be happy without me."